Hello and welcome to Indesign Quick Start Videos, Hints and Tips. I'm David Atkinson, a graphic lecturer at Glasgow Clyde College. This is video 2 of the 5 video series, and what we're going to be concentrating on today is InDesign tools. So what you need to do is locate your InDesign program. I'm on a PC, which is there, and you open the program. You automatically find it goes into the docking station, or you might have an icon down there anyway. You can double click that icon and you open up InDesign. To start, we'll just start creating a new document. Because I'm going to talk about the tools, I'm just going to save it as what we had last time. I'm not going to change any of these, and I'll leave it as untitled. And it was an A4 document. I'll just knock off facing pages. I'll leave the margins 12.7 and we'll just go create. And we've got a blank page. We know it's blank because if I go over to this view here and knock off the guides, that's actually all print. There's nothing on that page at all at the moment. And this is where we start. This is where the tools are. You can move them about to where you want, where you're comfortable with them. I'm only going to talk about 4 or 5 of these tools. That's all you need to get you started, 4 or 5 of these tools. First one is the selection tool. This is probably the most important tool. You'll find you go back to that selection tool all the time. It helps you move things on the page. And obviously, you select items that you need to select. To change anything on your page, it needs to be selected. Sometimes you think it's not working, it's not happening, it's because you've not selected it. Then there's the direct selection tool, and that selects elements of what you require, like a point on a box. So little parts of your selection. Then we come down to the type tool. It's the T for type, and that shows you and allows you to put type onto your page. Then the other two, I will briefly go through the magnifying glass and the hand, which helps you move things on the page. But we started off by showing you this, which is the view, and that's the view. So we've got nothing there at the moment. So we want to put something onto the page. It's a straight block. So the first thing I do is I'm going to draw a type box. Again, remember when you click the T, you click and drag, you're creating a box. I'm just going to put my name in there, David. Quite hard for you guys to see if you look at it. As I'm doing that, I'll show you the magnifying glass. If you go to the magnifying glass, you can go larger. I'm keeping my finger on the Alt key. It changes the magnifying glass to a minus. Can you see that? And we'll just click once or twice, and it gets smaller. We can go to view at the top, which is a lot of standard programs, zoom in and zoom out. I'll fit actual size. And to move the page around, we use the hand tool. So you can move that one page around. What I will do is just show you the pages at the top, which we touched on in the first video. So you can see you've got that one page. We'll move it about. And then again, you can see, I'll just go to this view. All we've got on there is David. Now, we need to change the size of my name. Go back to the type tool. When I'm in the type tool, I can't move anything. If you think I'm in the type, I'm trying to move it, I can't move anything on that. Again, that's why we go to the selection tool. And that allows you to change the size of the box. Move it up and down, move it on the page. We're in the selection tool. But if I need to change the type, I need to go back to the T. And I also need to make sure I have it all selected. So you just drag across, so it all reverses out black, and I've got David selected. Then how do I change the size of the type? It's gone in at the computer default, which is Minion Pro, which you can look up on here. And that's what all these measurements are across here. They're telling you specifically about that box and that piece of type. And I can just click the T's and I can make it as large as I want. 48 points. I can even put an increment size in. I can do it 60 points. I'm going 60. It's Minion Pro, which is computer default, and I'll just change the font. So you click once and you drag down, find what font you quite like. I'll go to Century Gothic, and that's how we change the font. You see it stays in there, Century Gothic regular. If you need it bold, italic, or the different formats, we'll just go to bold, and you can see that it goes to bold. And that's how you change the font and the size. And again, when we want to move it on the page, just move it about. I like to keep the box about the size of the type we're in it, so we've not got boxes overlapping each other. So that's how you do type on a page. The next two that we'll actually look at are these. These are hexagons at the moment, but usually you'll find as your default, if there's a little white arrow there, it tells you some more elements to this button and your tools. I'm going to use the rectangular tool first. And this is basically, as you show it, it's just to draw rectangles. So you click and drag. So I'm just clicking and dragging. And we'll just check to see what we've got on the page. I'm going back to this view. And that's what we've got on the page. Now I want to fill that with a colour. If we look at this part of the tool, you see it's showing you that's the border, which is black. And the fill, there's no fill. That's why there's a red stripe for it. Quick way to change this is just to click these little arrows here. There's no border, and then there's a fill. And then you've got that. So say, again, there's usually 2 or 3 places where you can change things. We can look up here at the top of the page, and you can see the fill and the border. There's no border. This also lets you change the width of the border. At the moment, it's 1 point, and I'm just clicking it, and it's black. You see it's getting larger. It's telling us that's 16 point. That's the original size of the box, and that's the border. To emphasize this, I'll just show you colors. So we can change the color. So if we go to change the color of the border, at the moment, we're not going to touch on colors, but these are the computer default. We can add as many colors as we want, but I'll just go with the red so you can see the different color border. 16 is a bit big. I'm just going to take it back down to 5. And again, if I click away, go to the select tool there, and that's how you apply a border. It's key to notice, again, these measurements and these guys at the top, there's actually nothing there. They're not represented at all until we select something on the page. So if I select that box, watch all those measurements change. And they're applying all the measurements for this to tell me where this is on the page. This little square here, represented by the square in the top left-hand corner there. It's telling me it's 130, about 130 from down, where the ruler is. And it's telling me from the top of the page, it's about 74 millimeters. Again, we can click and we can drag, and we can put our own measurements in if we want. That's to about 110. I'm going to click from the ruler to about 30 there. So you see the exact measurements and the measurements at the top. Then I can just click and I can drag that there. Or you can move it on the page. That's telling you that's 210 by 130, and that's that point there. 110 by 30. Say if I don't want it 110 going across, I want it 120. Put 120 in there, and then press return. That's 120. 30 is too high up on the page. I want it 60. That's going to come down further down the page. I'll put 60 in, and I'll just click. and that drops. Or as we said before, you can just click and you can move. You can see when I click on each item, the values always change. I mentioned a little bit about the magnifying glass, and then this is the hand which helps you move things across. Magnifying glass, just click once. You can click and drag, which will let you have a look specifically, so it goes as large as you want on the page. Then if you just keep your finger on the Alt button and that changes back to minus, you can make it smaller. And looking at the view at the top, you can zoom in and out, fit your window, spread the window, if you fit page in the window, that's a whole page. Actual size, interesting to know, that's a size. If you print it out, it will be that size. I'm also scrolling up and down with the sidebars. So that selection, move that across, like it to top. Move those across. Now what we can do, they're the basic elements of adding type to the page and adding boxes. Now what you should do is really just have a little play about with some of these others and just have a bit of fun. First I'll do is I'll file save. I'm going to put it in a document that I set up before, an InDesign document. Always make sure you save correctly, and we're going to call this InDesign tools. Then you just click save. Everything what we've done has been saved. Now we can just touch on a few of the others. I want you to just have a little mess about with them and you'll get to know these tools. We know the essentials. But if we just have a look at, say if you want to rotate something. So I click on the arrow, again, the little white arrow at the bottom. It tells you you can scale, you can make things larger, or you can rotate something. Here and then free transform, moving things individually. But say if we just want to rotate something. I highlight that, then I can just free rotate it individually. I can also look at the top of the page and see, take the elements of that and tell me that's 31 degrees. Or if I want it 45 degrees. But to actually move it, I need to go back to the select tool and I'll move it across. That's quite an interesting tool, the rotate tool. We'll go to the scale tool. Scale tool, again, it does what it says. You can make it larger. Now, you've got to watch the elements to making it larger. There's the width and the height and the percentage. You've got to make sure that you keep it to the same percentage. I'm keeping my finger down on the shift key. You see, I'm just clicking and dragging up and down and making it smaller or larger. But what I could also do, if I leave that, that's 100% what it started at. I can go up here. Again, using this chain to keep the proportions. I can just put 130 in there. If I click over the other 100 at the bottom, I will keep the same proportions. It's important to keep the same proportions. I'll show you what happens if you don't. I'll uncheck the chain and we'll go 150. I'll exaggerate it. You can see I stretch the font. You should never stretch fonts. It's not a good thing unless you want a specific style. Then we need to know it's hard to get that back to what you wanted. So you should never stretch fonts. It's not a good thing because we stretch that and this goes back to normal, to the 100%, so we don't know what we stretched it from. Sometimes what you find is you might lose type. See, I've lost it. You think, well, where's my font gone? There's two ways to find whatever you've lost. One way you can see it's missing, there's a little red cross here, and that's telling me that there's something in that box. Also, the other thing is, if you see at the bottom left-hand side of the page, it tells you there's one error. You click on that, and it'll tell you where the error is. So it'll come up, it tells you it's text, and it tells you it's over text, and it's in a text frame. So to get that back, we just drag, and we make it larger. Make the box larger for it. You see the errors disappear? No errors. I'll just want you to mess about with a few of these tools. Can you remember there we were looking at, again, with this box, the rectangular select box? You can do circles and squares, just draw. You can click and drag to do an ellipse. Or you can just click over somewhere, just double click, and you get the size. If you want a perfect size, put 100. If you put 100 by 100, guess what? We'll get the circle. Remember, you can change over here, you can change the fill and the color. And I'll just touch on the polygon shape. So all this is all about having a bit of fun. Again, the polygon, I'm just going to double click. And you get the size of the polygon. If I do it 50 millimeters, right, 50 millimeters, you can have as many shapes, the percentage that goes. And if you just go OK to that, it just drops in there, and you can fill it. You can even double click over these boxes, and you can change to any color that you want. And you just add your color. I like to add my color to the swatches, so if I click to add there, it would go to my swatches. If I go OK, then if I just go to swatches, so you know what color you've got, and that's added that color to the swatches. Double click on the box. So basically, those are the main tools that you need to know. I'll just show you about getting a little bit more type onto the page. Remember type, you just click, you drag. That's the box for type. Now you know it's a type box, you get a little cursor that's flashing. And what we'll do just for quickness is just go to type, and you can go to place all the text, and that'll drop a lot of sort of Greek ipsum morum text into place. So there, the 5 or 6 main tools that we need about putting something on a page. We'll just file and we'll save that again. And just try things out and have a bit of fun. And let's see how you get on. Thank you very much for listening. That's David Atkinson at Glasgow Clyde College.